Hello and welcome back to the more advanced WK series. I believe this is video 5, and I breezed over it previously, but this one is going to have to do with the keywords that are available for WK. And again, another thing that is unique, not really uh, typically a part of keywords or that conversation for systems. um, but that's what we're going to go ahead and get into. First off, I just want to point out where these go in the syntax for a WKS file. Essentially, for any chord or where to go for prefixes, it's going to be between the description and then the command. You can give 0 or more key chords. That's for chords that have an actual command. For the prefix, it's going to be just before the opening block of key chords. And so let's take a look. We'll scroll all the way down here to key chords. And so a key chord is either a hook or a flag. Hooks and flags have the same precedence, so you can give one hook, one flag, 2 hooks, 1 flag, 2 flags, 1 hook, whatever. They don't have to be all hooks and then all flags or anything like that. You can mix them up. And so starting out with the hooks, these are going to be denoted by the caret character. Is going to start the hook, and then after that is it's not really given a name in the syntax, but essentially it's going to be a hook type. It's going to be before, literally before, after, sync before, sync after, and then after the hook hook type, I guess, it's going to be you're going to have to give a command. And so taking a look at these, I think probably demonstrating them will make the most sense. So we'll do hooks, and we'll do a before hook here, for, and echo, for, and echo, loop. And so if I go ahead and run that, not with debugs, we can see, okay, we've got hooks, and if I run that, we see this is echoed before this. So it's pretty straightforward. If you're familiar with Emacs and hooks, how those work, obviously more complicated. If essentially here, this is just going to be, the hook is run before or after, and the hook being the command is run before or after the main command for that key chord sequence. One important thing to note is how WK actually runs commands is asynchronous. Their commands are not blocking by default, and that's because WK captures your keyboard as well as your mouse. So, well, I guess actually not your mouse, but WK captures your keyboard. And so if you were to run a before command that never actually exited, like some type of daemon or whatever, then and that block WK will, until that daemon crashes or whatever, WK is just going to be frozen. You're not going to be able to use your keyboard. Even plugging in a new keyboard isn't going to do the trick. You would have to somehow kill WK or kill the daemon so that WK can continue its execution. And that goes for all of the commands. So they're all run asynchronously by default, but there is an option to run them synchronously in a blocking fashion if you really want to do that. It's not recommended, but it's, like I said before, your program. So if you want to do it, go for it. I won't. But that's hooks. And one thing, like I said, you can give these to prefixes as well. So I just want to note that here. And so let's say hooks was actually, or H was actually a prefix. And we say M for main or whatever, I don't know. And you'll notice in this one, so I haven't given, you'll notice I haven't given any hooks to main, I've just given it to this prefix. And when I run it and say hooks main, oh, that's curious. The before hook still ran. Well, let's see how far does this rabbit hole go. Let's say other. If I could type and did a command blah 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 go about. And so let's try that. So we'll do H O A and okay, so the before hook did not continue down that far. This has more to do with a concept called inheritance. If you're familiar with object-oriented programming, that WK does introduce because, if you had some sort of hook that you wanted to run for, for all the commands in a prefix, or all the chords in a prefix, it's a lot easier to give that hook to the parent prefix rather than to all the individual commands. And we'll get into flags and stuff, how you can kind of change this inheritance behavior. But by default, any hook or flag given to a prefix is inherited by the direct descendants, the direct key chords in that prefix. Additional prefixes, like in this case HO, nothing inside of O by default is inherited, nothing inside of O is inherited from H. It's just the key chords, the terminating key chords. And so that is that's hooks. I've got some examples of why this is, or how I use this. And it's mainly for, like I've been talking about, you've got WK, which you can take across multiple systems. The idea is to be able to take that workflow across multiple systems in a simple manner. So you can, kind of, if you've got some tools to like sort of dictate that workflow, you can put that in WK through these hooks versus, like in i3 and DWM, you can set up rules and stuff so that when a window opens, it opens on a specific what do they call them? They're not tags. Well, tags in DWM, workspaces or desktops or whatever, in other systems. That's all fine and good, but with WK, you can sort of enforce that here through other tools that may be available, like XDo tool or YDo tool, or maybe you've got BSPWM, which is highly scriptable, or DWM, which has a patch that makes it scriptable, and so you can enforce that. Workflow without actually diving into the system you're on, which is pretty nice. So in this example, I want all my Emacs windows to open up on desktop 1. So I just give that to the Emacs prefix, and then all of the Emacs commands inherit that by default. And instead of having to do it where you have, this command and then the second command, repeating yourself all over the place. All right, that's about 10 minutes on hooks. Doesn't really make sense to break it up, so I'm just going to keep going. Flags is the other part of that for the keywords. There's a lot of flags. Really got to do with the inheritance and the behavior of WK. Most of them they're all spelled out here. The flag name, the behavior. Essentially, you give a plus, and then the flag itself. The flags don't require any arguments. It's like basically a switch is another way to think of it. And some of the ones that I really use are going to be keep and write. These are my most common ones. And I've got a pretty realistic example here where I'm essentially using MPC to control my media player, and I've turned my music keybinds essentially into a Hydra. So if we actually were to copy that and put that in here, comment out this, so you can see the keep flag here. Well, how does that actually change WK? Well, when I actually see, as you can see, I'm running commands. There's nothing playing right now, so it's going to give me errors. But when I say H and L or D to display a song or C to clear, um, this keep flag, what it's doing is it's keeping WK open so you can continue to press, whatever binds we have available. But obviously, you don't want that to happen forever. So you've got the corresponding close flag, which is gonna, you know, make sure that the Hydra closes. So you can say close here, and then when we run that and music, and so H&L, I'm pressing, all the stuff, and clear actually closes it. The documentation goes into that more about, what each one of them does, because inheritance is, kind of you might inherit some side effects you don't want. A lot of these have to do with undoing that, or in the case of the inherent flag, would change it so that you do inherit things that you normally wouldn't. All broken down a lot more in in a sane way in the documentation. Um, but yeah, that's pretty much for hooks and flags. I didn't go too much deeper on that. Um, the only other ones I might say is right. The right flag is essentially instead of so I've got a lot of examples here where we're echoing. I could actually change that to right, right, and then instead, I believe it's been a minute since I've messed around, and then say we do hooks and main. Yeah, before command not found. Okay, so before and after hooks, they do not care about the right flag. I might change that behavior, but the actual commands do. So as you can see, just wrote out hello instead of me having to say echo. That's a pretty cool one for um, like as a DWM or not DWM, D menu replacement. You can essentially use WK to give you like, some sort of like option interface, and it's scriptable, so you could have, some bash script. I've got it in mind to like select, out of these responses, and then it takes that output from WK to uh, continue with the script or whatever. So, yes, right. We'll put that on. No. All right, that and that. Just kind of give like a little example. You can essentially have this WK run this script, and then you've got it to write these responses. Obviously the command section can be different from the description. It could just be a number, keep things simple or whatever. And so, when they select them, or you could do, have yes really be no. And yeah, so Um, that's pretty much going to do it. Went on for too long at the end there. I was trying to cut it off short, and then I got kept talking. But that's keywords, hooks, and flags. Um, Definitely, you know, uh, in a unique thing outside of other keyword options. I do think it makes it brings sort of some quality of life. I really like the Hydra feature with the keep, that I find very valuable because I've got a lot of, for instance, I've got this one for Windows that I can sort of grow and shrink the master window, instead of having to like, I don't even know what it is and what I've got it bound to in DWM anymore. But yeah, it's nice to be able to not have to repeat keywords all the way from the beginning, through the use of that keep function. But that's going to do it for me. Definitely do appreciate your guys' time, and I believe in the last one, yeah, I've only got one more, so this will be the second to last, and I hope to see you in the next one. Thank you so much for your time. Bye bye.